What if I told you that strong IELTS listeners already know many of the answers before the audio even starts? Most candidates press play and hope for the best. High band candidates do something different. They predict first, then listen to confirm. In this video, I'll show you how to predict answers before listening, a simple strategy that can immediately improve your IELTS listening score. Hi, my name is April Ampong, and I am an instructor at IELTS Niner Review Center, an international standard IELTS training system that helps learners progress from beginner level to band 7 to 9 in the most time-efficient way. What does predicting mean? Predicting does not mean guessing the exact answer. It means predicting the type of answer, the form of the answer, and the kind of information you're listening for. When you predict correctly, your brain is already prepared to catch the answer. You're no longer listening blindly, you're listening with a purpose. Here's a simple 3-step process you can use in every IELTS listening section. Step 1. Before the audio starts, look at the question carefully. Don't rush, don't skip it. This is where strong listeners already get ahead. Step 2, identify what's missing in the gap. Ask yourself, is the answer a number, like a price or time? Is it a name, maybe a person or an organization? Is it a place, like a street, a building, or a city? Or is it a word, a noun, a verb, or an adjective? Next, think logically about what would fit in that space. You're not guessing the exact answer. You're preparing your brain for the kind of answer you'll hear. When you do this, your brain switches from passive listening to active listening. Instead of panicking or trying to catch every word, you're listening with a clear purpose. This entire process just takes a few minutes, but it makes a huge difference during the audio. Always remember, prepared listeners don't panic. They recognize the answer when they hear it. For example, if the question says the course starts on blank, even before the audio begins, you can already predict a few important things. First, the answer will be a date or a day, not a long phrase. Second, it will be singular. And third, it will probably clearly and directly stated in the recording. Now, when you listen, your attention is no longer spread everywhere. You're listening specifically for time information. So when you hear something like the course actually begins on Monday, the 14th of September, your brain immediately recognizes it as the answer. This is why prediction works. You're not trying to understand every word. You're listening for meaning with a clear target. That's how high band candidates stay calm and accurate during IELTS listening. Prediction works because IELTS listening is highly structured. There is something many candidates don't realize. In IELTS listening, the answers come in the same order as the questions. You're not listening randomly, you're moving forward step by step with a test. That's exactly why prediction is powerful, because when you predict correctly, a few things happen. First, you listen more actively. You're not trying to catch every word. You're listening for specific information. Second, you avoid distractions. Background details, extra explanation, and unfamiliar vocabulary don't pull your attention away. And third, you catch paraphrased information much more easily. Even if the speaker doesn't use the same words as a question, you recognize the idea immediately. This is also why candidates who don't predict often miss answers. Even when the audio is clear, they hear the information, but they don't recognize it as the answer. Prediction turns IELTS listening from a guessing game into a controlled process. Strong listeners don't predict once or twice. They practice predicting answers in every listening exercise until the process becomes automatic. At that point, prediction is no longer something you think about. It happens naturally before the audio even starts. This is one of the fastest ways to improve from band 5 to 6 to band 7 and up in IELTS listening. Not because your English suddenly improves, but because your listening becomes focused, calm, and controlled. Train the skill, the score will follow. That is how high band listeners think. Predict first, then listen. Now that you know how to predict answers, the next challenge is recognizing them when they sound different. In the next video, we'll focus on paraphrasing in IELTS listening and why keywords often mislead you. So see you in the next video.